Don't you want a little taste of the glory? See what it tastes like.
Hi everyone, and welcome to Priority Holder, and today we're playing a Qualifier play-in. So it's an event that has like escalating prizes and they can qualify for like different future events as long as you keep doing well. And this one happens to be in the timeless format, so I decided I'd give it a go. And I was strongly considering playing blue-green merfolk, but I couldn't really didn't have enough time to crystallize the list, and I felt really happy about where I had this one, and so I ended up using this one instead. And this is Colorless Superfriends, though that might be more of a misnomer. It's like it's sort of prison-y, control-y mid-range deck, but yeah, there are Planeswalkers in it, but I guess the heart of the deck is Chalice of the Void. This card is exceptionally good in the timeless meta where everything is super refined, a lot of 1 mana value spells that are super strong, and so we built our deck to exploit that and can Chalice for 1 and not do anything to ourselves and potentially lock out whole opposing strategies. We might even Chalice for 2 sometimes, depending on how we've set it up. And what plays really well with Chalice is Ugin's Labyrinth. Land that can be tapped for 2 and could potentially Chalice for 1 on turn 1 if we can have a Labyrinth and tuck like an Ugin the Spirit Dragon or a Devourer of Destiny. Devourer of Destiny is really important in this deck. It's sort of like Colorless's Once Upon a Time. It gives us incredible selection in the early game to either find a Chalice or a Labyrinth or a One Ring, whatever we're sort of interested in. And we have some mana acceleration, but the other big part of the deck is Karn, the Great Creator. It gives us access to a wish board of various silver bullets and useful items, as well as functionally 7 copies of the One Ring and Forsaken Monument. Forsaken Monument is the payoff for going all colorless. It boosts our creatures, doubles our mana, gains us life, it does it all, and we get to run a super powerful mana base with 8 untapped Surveil lands, creature removal with Blast Zone, and life gain with Radiant Fountain and creatures and Mutavault. So it just does it all. I love this deck, and let's jump into the event. Alright, time to start the event. And I've hit top 1200 limited a few times, and so that's how I got some play-in points. So I figured Timeless came up, so might as well try it. Now for the deck selection screen, you get to see some of the other projects I'm working on, so let me know in the comments if there's any of these you're particularly interested in. Note that not all of them succeed all the time, so. Alright, we are 0-0 and we are off to the races, and this is how you want to start off. This is a turn 1 Chalice for 1 right here, so absolutely beautiful. We're going to Ugin's Labyrinth away, our Spirit Dragon, slam a Chalice for 1 in the dark. No companion, so we don't exactly know how potent this is going to be. If they had Lurrus Companion, this would be almost lights out. Alright, red-blue MDFC land is very curious, and land doesn't seem like we want a One Ring or something like that, so we're going to surveil that away and play our Guardian Idol and see what the opponent. Alright, so seeing multiple of these MDFCs is giving me honestly Goblin Charbelcher vibes, though typically the Charbelcher lists I see are running black and green, so this is not one that I've seen before. Reckless Barbarian. That card is up to no good right there. That's just a mana storage creature. And I recently tried and failed to make a Dragonstorm deck, and that Barbarian was part of it, but I recently got some new ideas, so I might give it another shot. But I'll link another, I actually made a video playing Charbelcher, so I'll link that. And just to use our mana, we're firing off this Kozilek's command, and just doesn't seem like this is a Spirit Dragon matchup. We already have one anyway, and one tucked, so gonna scry all those away. And yeah, just gonna slam the Spirit Dragon right here. And we get hit with a Pact and Negation, so we are definitely playing a combo deck. And I did hesitate on that Kozilek's command and wonder if I should remove their creature. And in retrospect, it's like mana destruction, so I think we should have targeted the creature. None of that would have helped our Ugin resolve. So, but they have to pay for their Pact, and they're just tapped out, and we're sort of back to square one. And we are developing our mana, but Devour is at least a beefy threat, but it doesn't seem like the opponent's playing to the board a whole lot. They might play another one of those dragons, so Glimpse the Impossible. And there's the Charbelcher, and you could tell from all the MDFCs that's what they're going for. So Glimpse the Impossible is awesome for that kind of strategy because you either gets you card advantage or a bunch of sort of like Lotus Petals, so really awesome. It doesn't seem productive to remove one of their Eldrazi Scions, so we're just gonna make a bunch more and just do like a big scry and draw right here just to try and find something. And I'm gonna look at the sideboard here to see if I have anything like super useful for these combo matchups. I don't exactly. I go ahead and scry a bunch to the bottom except for little Karn. And I was mostly just thinking of like just the sideboard value, but I forgot like it's actually like a hard shutdown of Charbelcher as long as Karn the Great Creator is still in play. So I wasn't thinking that, but in retrospect it turned out to be super strong. So doing some manual tapping to get Karn into play. And like I said, I was just tunnel visioned into like getting something, and the opponent attempts to counter it, but our Chalice is on one is going to stop that and see if, all right, so they didn't have anything else. And so just deciding like what to fish up right here, but the opponent just packs it in. Like it said, it locks down the Charbelcher. So we're 1-0 and we're moving on to the next one. This hand, I mean, we don't have any information from a companion, but still it seems like it's just too slow. Like we could potentially turn 3 Karn, but that's like if we don't get it Thoughtseized or Griefed or something. So this hand looks a lot better. We got Labyrinth, nothing to tuck under it, but we also have Chalice. So just feel a lot better with opening hands with Chalice. Blue-black land from the opponent. Did not find anything to tuck under the Labyrinth. So we'll leave it the Surveil land and just, we already have enough lands. The Surveil lands are so clutch in this build. Like having 8 untapped Surveil lands allows you to sort of, the advantage is really up. Alright, so the opponent misses a land drop. And One Ring. Against black, I'm going to keep it in case our first copy of it gets Thoughtseized away. So we're going to Chalice for 1, and Thieves Guild Enforcer is flashed in. So we're playing against rogues, and there goes our One Ring Surveil. So our opponent finds the second land and slams Azure Beastbinder. And if you play Bloomburrow Draft, you know that that card is cracked. Azure Beastbinder is really strong, and I hadn't seen it in Constructed yet, but it makes sense why you would play it. So we're just going to slam our Guardian Idol and pass. And I'm feeling like super safe with our Chalice on 1 because of like Rogues' low curve. But this is the power of Beastbinder right here. It actually can shut down any artifact, creature, or planeswalker until their next turn. So it just turned off Chalice. You can see me reading it here like, wait, it can do that? I was mostly seeing it in like shrink creatures and stuff in limited. So this is going to allow them to play another Thieves Guild Enforcer because they turned off the Chalice. So I'm like really panicking here, like, oh man, that Beastbinder is going to be a huge problem. Not to mention, they milled so many cards that their Thieves Guild Enforcers are now huge. Alright, and they play the Wind Robber. And getting milled out is actually like a real threat for the Rogues deck, so you just have to be aware of that. Now we do have Blast Zones. Like we're not going to be in like any huge danger because we can always crack it for X=1 and like kill 3 of their stuff right now. So I'm going to try and slam a One Ring like now that they're tapped out, and see what we can find. Another One Ring is not amazing, and going to go ahead and play the next Blast Zone. There was an argument for playing Conduit Pylons there just to try and set up our next draw. Now this is once again the power of Azure Beastbinder, is that they're going to be able to shut down another artifact as the opponent slams Rankle right here. So they're going to get to mill us a few more times. And we have ring protection right now, so we're not going to take any damage. They're just sending out their one, and definitely Beastbinder because they're going to shut down something. So they're shutting down our One Ring. So our protection is still there, but we can't use our One Ring in play the next turn. And you could see how versatile the Beastbinder is, like especially against our, like, it's always shutting down whatever the best thing is the opponent has. So we're going to slam Pylons here and see what we have. Mind Stone. Seems like we need something juicier than that. Really want to get rid of the Beastbinder because it's just going to like shut down Chalice, shut down Ring, like whatever's most useful for us, it's going to be bothering us. So we're going to Kozilek's Command for 2 and give ourselves some Scions and get rid of the Beastbinder. The rest of the stuff we're not that concerned about. Alright, so we got some creatures, and actually decide, you know what, it's probably good to replay the One Ring right here. That will allow us at least, you know, give us another turn of ring protection and allow us to draw a card this turn. Alright, we draw a Radiant Fountain. And I'm doing a quick scan to see what we're working with, and it turns out all of our Kozilek's commands are gone. So I'm just trying to see like what is actually left in our deck. 29 cards at the moment. So opponent crashes in. It must just be habit, they're not used to ring protection, so. Alright, we get dinged by our ring, find another land. We need some action here because we just need a direction to go in. Now we finally found a huge card to stick under Ugin's Labyrinth, just barely, so we're going to stick the Devourer under it, and what that's going to allow us to do is slam Forsaken Monument, and we're hoping that it doesn't get like drowned in the locked right here. It resolves, and the extra mana production from that means we actually have Blast Zone up right here. And we have no ring protection at the moment, so let's see what the opponent does. Alright, so they're firing up Hive, so this is excellent. Like this is, they're using up like all their mana to do this. They are going to get the nukes into our graveyard, but we don't have, well, I guess we have some recursion with the Buried Ruins, but we're going to crack Blast Zone X=1 here, and that's going to kill 3 of their creatures. So we are getting smacked for 6, but we should be able to recoup the life with Forsaken Monument if we can actually just draw some spells. And the opponent decides just to use the discard mode on Rankle, and they pitch a Duress on the other side. Now, this is the beauty of Forsaken Monument. Like, we just get so much mana, so we can easily just return the Devourer and recast it. And we're not even worried about this getting countered or anything because it has a cast trigger. We just need to get like their threats off the board. So now, just casually play a huge 8/8, and we're gonna activate the ring again. See if we can find some more cheap plays to gain some life. Mind Stone is wonderful because under Monument it's mana neutral, so we can play it for 2 and then it taps for 2. I'm gonna play a Radiant Fountain. I'm just gonna slam a Guardian Idol here, gain some more life. Honestly, with that last mana, could just crack the Mind Stone, but yeah, the opponent's had enough. Like, we gained too much. So we're 2-0, and we're on to the next one. Feeling pretty good so far. This hand, it potentially is a turn 1 Chalice if we can find an Ugin's Labyrinth with Devourer of Destiny. So, alright, another MDFC land from the opponent. Just gonna bin all those cards. That's one thing you have to remember with Devourer is you can just not put any of them on top. Once I was really fishing hard for an Ugin's Labyrinth, and none of those cards seem like they'd be particularly useful. At least we wouldn't know if they're useful yet. Alright, opponent slams a High Noon on the other side. It's like a rule of law effect for those old school players. So, I mean, this is just Magic as Garfield intended right here, right? Both players just slamming their turn to stacks pieces on each other. So they're gonna High Noon us, and we're gonna Chalice them on 1. And this is just good, clean Magic right here. Now, we're obviously playing some sort of control variant. High Noon is gonna gate how many spells we can do, and like that's gonna allow them to more effectively police what we're doing. So, thankfully, we have instant speed spells like Kozilek's commands, so we can like try and overtax them a bit. All right, so opponent, this isn't like the most efficient Kozilek's command, but I'm sort of just trying to see what the opponent does right here, and just to try and get some action going. This will, if we get a Scion, that'll also help our mana production. Ugin, Tiny Ugin doesn't seem very useful right now. Like, the opponent has just tons of mana open. So I'm going to slam Blast Zone here. We would eventually maybe use that to take down High Noon. So I'm going to cast this and see what happens, and the opponent has a counter spell. So Karn does not resolve, and we're just going to pass. And the opponent just passed it back to us, missing a land drop, so that's notable. Like, it's really bad for control decks to miss a land drop, so that's honestly really good for us. Now the opponent is at 17 from their shock lands and stuff, so we can just, this is the power of creature lands right here, especially really cheap to activate ones like Mutavault. I'm just gonna start pressuring their life total. Like, we have some instant speed stuff, like we're just like in no hurry to really try and do anything. Now the opponent tries to brainstorm into Chalice, and that's gonna get countered, so and they realize their mistake right after. Yeah, you're not the only one trying to constrain your opponent. So that was the reason I played the second Mutavault last turn, is now we can really ramp up the pressure. And so like they're hoping to just camp out on counter spells, and we're gonna like actually start clocking with our lands, like just not even really put anything onto stack we don't need to. So we're gonna send the Mutavaults in and see what happens. Alright, so opponent comes in with the Snapcaster Mage. And once again, they're not even going to bother to brainstorm because it's going to get got by Chalice. And we are 1 mana short of just Kozilek's commanding away the Snapcaster. So we have to just accept the trade there. And it does really suck to lose a land. Alright, so but they miss a land also. So we still have our Mutavault. And now that I know that there's the potential of like Snapcaster blocking, I decided just to keep hitting him with the Mutavault because it's going to force them to like use their snappies that are less than optimal, because they want to use them to flashback counter spells, not blocking Mutavaults and not flashing anything back. Alright, so opponent just shocks in no fear. I love that boldness. We're going to put one of our blast zones up to 2 counters in case we need to crack and blow up the High Noon at some point. And this is the power of like the colorless mana base. Like we have so much utility built into it that we can just not even use any of our spells and do a ton of valuable things. So we're sending in again with Mutavault. Alright, Shark Typhoon. And I love that tech in their deck because that's one way to do something productive that doesn't get got by High Noon. You can still counter a spell and then cycle a Shark Typhoon because it's not a spell. So we're going to Kozilek's command away their Shark though. The question is how big to crank up the X value. Decide just to max it out. So going to, instead of making Scions, which there is an argument to making Scions because you can just start churning out spells. Went for the scry and draw. We're drawing 1 card right now. Ugin's Labyrinth seems incredible because we have just a bunch of spare Devourers that we can then convert to mana. So I'm going to play Labyrinth, tucking a Devourer, and we are under High Noon, so we can't play Guardian Idol afterwards. So it's just going to auto pass, except for Mutavault. So let's see what the opponent has. All right, shocking another land and just passing. Once again, I love the boldness for them, just going for it. They know they need the mana. Decide like it's a pretty good opportunity to just cast Devourer and eat the High Noon. And we just gotta start using up their resources. Right, Snapcaster's gonna come in and flash back a counter spell. And we are incredibly threat dense in this deck. Like we have a lot of things that need to be killed or countered in this case. And so it's all about overtaxing their resources. They had to basically answer every single spell we play. Alright, there's another High Noon. That's a little annoying. Snapcaster's going to stay back for Mutavault defense. I'm going to play Karn right here. Alright, the opponent's going to reprieve it. Reprieve is especially good in their deck because they can just sort of keep making the opponent waste the mana while they can like Snapcaster reprieves. I'm sure that the opponent would love Remand put onto Arena. Then their deck would go into like overdrive. So on their end step, decide to crack Blast Zone because that unshackles us from High Noon and gets rid of the Snapcaster. So, and we could potentially double spell right here. So Karn does resolve. So that's a really good sign. I'm sure the opponent would love to have Karn not be in play. I'm gonna snap up the Darksteel Citadel. You don't always see me grab that, but like, there's situations like this where I need a land drop, so you love to have it there. So opponent destroys Karn, but the One Ring resolves. So it's making me hopeful that they're basically running out of counters because both of those are cards that they would, you know, in their situation, love to not let us resolve. All right, so opponent's gonna surveil. Feeling pretty good about the situation. Look at what we have in hand still. Alright, Mystic Sanctuary is going to grab something. I'm surprised to see them get a kill spell and not a counter. And then opponent fires off a Divine Purge, which is an alchemy card that sort of like exiles everything and like taxes it. So you can see we could still replay Chalice, but at a tax. And I'm surprised they actually didn't pump more mana into it to get rid of the One Ring. So they must be holding up mana for something right now. We're going to activate our ring, and this is for them, probably like we're probably like a nightmare matchup for them. Like we have so many must counter things, and like, all right, so opponent's flashing in Spell Queller, and I actually thought I was getting Spell Queller countered for a second. But then I realized, wait a second, it actually can't grab Monument. So Monument resolves, and we know they're out of counters, so it's time for us to go off to the races here. Once again, Mind Stone's mana neutral. After thinking about it, like, wait a second, I can just Chalice on 2 right here and basically lock out all their, any mana drains, counter spells, reprieves, including that Get Lost right here. So we're going to Chalice on 2 and just make their life miserable. Now this is a heads up play from the opponent to quickly set an upkeep stop to scry away that Get Lost, because it's now a dead card thanks to the Chalice. So that was quick thinking from them, but like it's looking increasingly grim for them right now. Alright, and the question is sort of how we want to handle this. Like, Mutavault is currently lethal right now because of Forsaken Monument, if we can just get rid of the stupid Spell Queller. So I'm thinking about Kozilek's commanding. I'm like, you know what, that gets countered. Like, let's just use a Devourer here because it has a cast trigger. So even if they counter this, it gets rid of Spell Queller. Alright, so Spell Queller down. Devour in play. So I'm going to fire at Mutavault and attempt to go for the kill here. Alright, so Mutavault sending in, and they have a Swords. So our Chalice is no longer on 1, so our Mutavault's going to get Swords, but honestly, like, we are not that worried, and so we're going to slam Big Ugin here and uptick and ding them for 3. So basically, they're dead in like 10 different ways right here. So we got to see if they can, and they're going to do their due diligence, and because it's a competitive event, so they're going to Castle Vantress. I don't know if they have like a, what's the Energy Raft or something like that. But yeah, the opponent packs it in. So feels nice to get that win against Control. We are 3-0 and moving on to the next one. And we get to go first, which is nice. Conduit Pylons. Seems like we can use the lands right now. And Blaststone is just such a powerful land. Decide to keep it on top. Alright, Inquisition from the opponent. Obviously going to take Chalice right there, because if they're running Inquisition, they're probably running Thoughtseize and other 1 mana spells, and it would have been incredible. So opponent is breathing a sigh of relief from what they took away from us. Thoughtseize takes our Kozilek's command. Dark Witch would never like to see that on the other side. Buried Alive. This is really bad because that's actually spell number 3, so it means 3 Phoenixes. This is turn 2. They're attacking us for 9 right here. So we fall to 11 and rip a 1 ring. So like that was like absolutely incredible. Like step number 1, ripping a 1 ring to survive the next turn. So we're gonna activate it and see if we draw anything. Inventors Fair could be useful if we can just survive. All right, so the opponent plays land and passes, and we fall to 10 right here. Like we need like a miracle draw right here. So Guardian Idol is something. And I basically draw like the 2 cards to get us out of the situation. Like absolutely incredible. Playing Inventors Fair here would be really bad. Ugin's Labyrinth is what we need to open up some more mana. So we play Ugin's Labyrinth, tuck Ugin under it. The reason is we need as much mana as we can muster to play Forsaken Monument, which resolves, and then play a Guardian Idol, which is going to importantly gain us up to 12 life. Because not only do we need to survive the Phoenixes, we need to also survive our 1 ring, which is dealing us 2. So as long as the opponent doesn't rip a bolt, so they just spew off a Thoughtseize, and they're going to attack us all the way down to 3 life. 1 ring is going to activate, get us down to 1, and I'm just like, wait, is this happening? Are we like surviving? I keep expecting like Bowmasters to come flying in or a bolt. Inventors Fair is going to start slowly gaining us life, but we can actually, thanks to Forsaken Monument, we can bring the Ugin back to hand and easily cast it. Gained a little bit of life in the process, but we're going to be able to nuke the Phoenixes with Ugin's minus right here. So we're just going to -4 and take out the Phoenixes. And I just keep waiting for like the other shoe to drop. Like, where's the Lightning Bolt or the Bowmasters, But they I guess they spent a lot of resource and went all in on the Phoenix play. So, and we're just going to start trying to gain as much life as possible. So, Mind Stone in play. My opponent shocks the land, plays Grief. They are going to get to take our Devourer away from us. That's something. And we are having to like outrace our 1 ring right here. So That was a small misplay by me. I should have just cracked the Mind Stone on their end step. We had the mana, and we definitely like don't need the extra mana right now. We just need spells to gain a ton of life and just try and survive. So I'm gonna cast a Devourer and just get rid of the grief, gain a tiny bit of life, and like feels like we're turning the corner here. Play a Mind Stone, gets us up to 7 life. Honestly, probably should Surveil land, crack Mind Stone to try and get another spell. Forsaken Monument, like we could like Legend Rule one just to gain some life. Doesn't seem like that useful. And we're sitting pretty right now with Kozilek's command, so if the opponent tries to like, you know, just hard cast a Phoenix, we can get it with Kozilek's command, and they pack it in. So if you like surviving getting attacked for 9 on turn 2, please touchstone the like button, and we're on to the next one. 4-0. That, I could not believe we won that game. Like that was insane. Like basically the ideal Phoenix draw, and we beat them. So happy to see a Chalice with our Devourer trigger. Have to see, so the opponent has a Gigantha Companion. Right, they're cracking Flooded Strands, see what they get. Red white land, you probably know what that is, and it's going to be energy, Guide of Souls. So they did sneak one underneath our Chalice. We will need some land, so I'm going to bin anything that's not a land. Chalice, a backup one is helpful, and we would love to Chalice on 2 eventually, but like we just need land so desperately, we had to bin that one. So we're going to Chalice on 1, which we know is good against energy, so that's locking out any future Guide of Souls or Ocelot Prides or Galvanic Discharges. So the problem is they have a lot of powerful 2-mana plays, and there comes a Johnny for the opponent. Thankfully, they don't have 3 energy yet to give, you know, dump the counters on something. So another Chalice is really rough. Best play is just to play Guardian Idol and just start generating our mana. There is a consideration of playing Chalice on 0 in case they run, they don't typically run Mishra's Baubles and stuff in energy. Maybe if they have like Lurrus Companion, but alright, opponent's gonna Flage us, and this is gonna do 2 things. It's gonna Lightning Helix us in the face, and it's gonna get them that 3rd energy. So it's getting pretty critical. I'm hoping they place the counter on something that we can kill with Kozilek's command. And they do, they place it on the token, which is a good play from them because, you know, if that dies, then the Johnny turns into Planeswalker. Thankfully for us, we have Exile removal. So we're gonna stick Devourer under the Ugin's Labyrinth. And just thinking like how I want to do this. Decide to Kozilek's command. We're gonna nuke the flying creature. So we're gonna use X equals 1 just so we can actually draw a card also. And just really making sure. All right, Mind Stone. We want lands actually. So there's a land. Inventors Fair is so clutch. It's gonna start gaining us some life. So play Guardian Idol, and we already played Labyrinth, so we can't play that, but we took a lot of heat off ourselves. Our opponent is just going to put Gigantha into hand, play a land, crash in for 2 damage. That's manageable though, like that's not that bad. And here's Ugin, which is incredible. We are 1 mana short of just slamming Ugin right now. Deciding just to hold up Kozilek's command, so opponent is going to put a Surveil land into play, and honestly, so they have 4 cards in there. I was surprised to not see them like auto bin that and just escape Flage. So they kept it on top, which means they gonna have a little harder time getting Flage going. Now this, we have the Guardian Idols up right now, so it's making them second guess their attacks. So that's why their opponent was more hesitant there. And I figured this is what was going to happen, is the opponent slams the Gigantha. But we actually have exactly enough mana to exile Gigantha and then make a bunch of Scions. So we're going to do it X equals 5 Kozilek's command. Give ourselves a bunch of Scions, get rid of Gigantha. And Gigantha's a problem because it's like just a high mana value thing for like Ugin to deal with. But now we just have like a surplus of mana right here. So gonna slam Ugin thanks to the Eldrazi Scions we have. Eldrazi spawn. And yeah, so now we're gonna X equals 2, take care of both their creatures. And The question is, do we Chalice for 2 or do we slam the One Ring? I decide Chalicing for 2, like, because they could have like backup Ajani's and Amped Raptors and stuff in hand, so Chalicing for 2 is going to basically make it, it's just like Flage or Bust from how most energy decks are built. So, alright, so they find another fetch land and then escape Flage. Now Flage sends the damage to Ugin, which goes down to 2 loyalty. They had to do it to Ugin, so we didn't just minus right away and get rid of Flage. So, do some auto-tapping here because I was considering returning the Devourer, or maybe I was wanting Blast Zone. I don't know what I was doing. I have something in mind, but just going to slam the One Ring, get some protection. Kozilek's command is really nice. I was considering like slamming Mind Stone, but we need to actually keep mana open to save Ugin right here from a Flage attack. So we're going to Ghost Fire the opponent. Yeah, you can see me almost play the Mind Stone, but we need to keep the mana open for the Guardian Idols. That way they can play some defense for Ugin. And gotta say, it's pretty fun playing against energy when you have Chalice on 1 and Chalice on 2. Initially I was thinking of firing off Kozilek's command and jump blocking with the Eldrazi Scion, but we have ring protection, so we can't target ourselves with that first mode. So then I'm like, alright, well, I'm just gonna have to throw a Guardian Idol under the bus. So that's what was going on there. And we know it's not gonna get Galvanic Discharged or anything, so we're able to protect Ugin again at the cost of a little bit of mana. And the opponent basically can't play any non-Flage spells right here. And it was honestly, I basically saved myself from misplay because we wanted to keep the Kozilek's command so that we can now exile the Flage and just be done with it forever. And so having that ring protection, like not being able to use it there, actually saved me from making a bad play. Because now we can just simply, I mean, we probably would have been fine otherwise, but now it's like pretty straightforward just to exile the Flage and make some Eldrazi spawn. So we're going to send Ugin upstairs again. And feeling pretty good. We will need like some way to start recouping some more life because the rings get up there. Oh yeah, and then I play into my own Chalice here. No one's perfect. Don't always put it on X equals 2, and like it does get some of our spells that way, but we'll happily trade that for the energy player not being able to cast anything. So now Ugin the Ineffable is real nice here. So we're just gonna uptick big Ugin, tap the ring to see what we get. And there's the Forsaken Monument. So now I was gonna play that like because it has its own little discount, but like no, actually Forsaken Monument's better. It gives us more mana and lets us start gaining life. So the spawns can actually rumble, and we gain some life right here, and the opponent is now seeing our win con and they pack it in. So a win against energy means we're 5-0 and feeling great. So jumping into the next game here. Another Devourer opener is great. Loris Companion on the other side. And Ragavan. That is really tough, especially that the opponent's going first. Once again, fishing for like a Ugin's Labyrinth. Like that's what you want to always start the game with. Like being able to like generate turn 2 mana on turn 2 would be so nice. I'm gonna pitch the One Ring out here. Like we need, honestly, that was a misplay. Should have kept it on top because the opponent is unlikely to have been able to cast it. Like maybe they have like a Dark Ritual or something, but they would have effectively like they would have scried it away for us with the Ragavan trigger. So that was a misplay by me, but thankfully the opponent gets another uncastable spell. But the main damage is they're getting treasures and they're able to empty their hand so quickly. So we're already facing Ajani and Guide of Souls, and we're just moving at a glacial pace this game compared to what the opponent's doing. So turn 1 Ragavan when you're on the draw is real tough. So in case you haven't seen it, there's some new tech showing up in energy decks where they run Goblin Bombardment. And it turns out it's like exceptionally strong in this strategy because basically they have on-demand Ajani flip into a Planeswalker as you're seeing right now. Not to mention with stuff like Ocelot Pride making so many tokens, like they can either just police the board with Bombardment or just insta-kill someone. And this gives them like a ton of burn because, you know, Planeswalker Ajani does a whole lot. And this is the crux right here. And they had the mana and the foresight to Static Prison or Mana Rock because we would have slammed the One Ring and might have been able to like get something going. It was looking pretty bad for us, but them snagging our mana right there was a real heads-up play from them. And it's honestly the power of Ragavan. It gave, look at their board right now with 2 lands. You know, Ragavan is the one that enabled all of that, and it's basically over right now because they activated Johnny. We take, you know, instantly 4 damage, and they can Goblin Bombard us and attack, and it doesn't matter that we have a Mutavault to block. We are super dead, and that is an unfortunate loss. We fall to 5-1. So we have our 1 loss. Can we clutch out the last one? 5-1 on the cusp, and I mean, it's a pretty reasonable hand. It's glacial, you know, it's slow. There's no Chalices, there's no Ugin's Labyrinths. I'm gonna play Radiant Fountain and see what happens. All right, Swamp, Thoughtseize. Opponents got their pick of stuff. All right, they're taking 1 ring. Ripped a Mindstone right there, which is really nice to have like an Accelerant. Especially that Accelerant that wasn't able to be Thoughtseized. So now the blue-black Surveil land sent alarm bells, and then seeing Lorien Revealed hit the bin sent even more alarm bells. I'm like, oh, because I first thought it might be like Psychic Frog, but then like, oh no, this is Show and Tell, which is like a really tough matchup for us because we don't have a lot of ways to like interact it. Like the best way right here is Chalice of the Void, like Chalice, some of their useful stuff. And this, seeing the Lorien Revealed made me realize, like, let me Chalice on 2 because it shuts down Assemble the Team, which is like one of their best spells. Not to mention you get Demonic Tutor also, but most time you want to Chalice someone. But this was like seeing them surveil that Lorien Revealed made me realize Chalice on 2 is probably stronger. Like they do run Brainstorms and stuff, but this should hopefully be more of a thorn on their side. And there's the Hedgemage Surveil, and waiting to see opponent shocks in the land, and they're just running out a Mastermind. So they I wonder, like, I don't know what they have main deck to deal with Chalice. Like I'm assuming they're trying to find something to deal with that. I'm also surprised to see a Show and Tell player not just turn 3ing me. So going to play Ugin's Labyrinth here. And the reason is I'm trying to muster up a ton of mana right here, because the reason is if they don't whammy us right here, we actually have the win. And it's like a rare win con, you don't get to see it that often. So the opponent puts Lorien Revealed in the stack, and I don't know like what kind of crazy free counter they might have. So before they draw, I know like there are some loops where they bring back Mastermind's Acquisition, so I'm actually going to exile their graveyard just for good measure. But we're able, thanks to Forsaken Monument, to do an X11 Kozilek's command. And our Eldrazi spawn we're going to put in are actually all going to be 2/3s because of the Monument. And so by the opponent not doing anything to stop us right here, we just put 22 power on board that's going to be ready to go. And the opponent just passes, and it seems, and we got it. Oh my goodness. And we clutch out the 6-1 and qualify. And like that was just incredible. What a rush, and super, super fun. So we'll have to see what happens for like the next event. But that was just incredible. Makes me love this deck even more. And thanks for joining me on the ride. Let's see if we can do good at the next event. Thanks for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you want to see even more nonsense, please consider subscribing. And if you're already subscribed, thank you for your support. Your engagement with the channel helps me know what the people want. Thank you.